Okay, guys, welcome back to another episode of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. And right from the beginning of this series, I've been saying this is all about helping you to create certainty and meaning in all this chaos and mayhem. Well, let's be honest. If these principles work, then they should work in any situation and be able to create certainty and meaning in every situation. Otherwise, they're not principles, right? So right now, we're faced with incredible challenges in our world. We've got 32 wars going on, and the one at the forefront, of course, is the one that we're seeing play out here between, well, Hamas and Israel are involved, but who knows who it's between, really. And it's a microcosm, really, in a way, of what's going on all over our world. Because, you know, behind Israel is the United States, behind Hamas is Iran, and then who's behind all those people, right? Then you've got China, who want the United States to be distracted because of them wanting to go back and take over Taiwan. You've got Russia involved because they want the United States to be weakened so that they can become a global power. And they're working, and there's all these stories, right? I mean, it's mind-blowing. It's impossible to keep up. And so we are in a situation where people are looking for justice. So how do you find justice? How do you justify, people are going to say, well, how do you justify what Hamas did to the Israelis? And then other people are going to say, well, how do you justify what the Israelis are doing to the Palestinian people? All right. So we've got to change the way we look at things. Remember what Wayne Dyer said? Change the way you look at things. The things you look at change. But in a radical way, and I'm going to show you that in a second. So look, everything in this entire universe is frequency, right? So everything manifest is light vibrating at various speed, which gives it a physical manifestation, right? So if we take this droplet of water here and we send frequency into this droplet of water, what you see starts to happen is it starts to create these geometric patterns in the water, just simply by frequency. And these pressure points are held in place by the frequency. The higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern. Okay, so here's what's interesting though. When the frequency reaches a certain point, the whole pattern breaks down into what appears to be chaos, right? It isn't chaos, but it looks like chaos. It's a period period, which is English for period. It's a period of when things break down in preparation for a higher frequency and a higher form of order and a higher form of geometric patterns to come into play. So what the heck has that got to do with what is going on right now? Well, because this is not just, an idea. This is a science. Originally, the pioneer of this science was Dr. Hans Jenny. And this is a book called Cymatics. And it explains how everything in this world, in this universe, is created from frequency. Even the patterns, and you can see this in this book, right? On a zebra or a tiger, or all the forms are all created through vibration. So what happens when this vibration is going through its evolutionary process? Like I said, there are different periods. Now, we don't have time to do this here because we're on a timeline. But I want you to go and look at the website of Nigel Stanford. That's the guy there. I'm not sure what he's looking at, but that's the guy. Nigel Stanford. And he says everything owes its existence, easy for you to say, its existence entirely and solely to sound. Well, what does sound create? A vibration, right? You play a musical instrument, it creates a vibration. And there is entrainment, which we'll get into later on as well. So sound, in the beginning, was the word, which is a sound. A sound creates vibration. A movement creates vibration. When you move your brain, when you think a thought, it's a vibratory field of energy. I know, crazy. So everything is vibration. Check that website out and you'll be blown away how he can control electricity. I know. All right, so this is what is called the flower of life. You've probably seen it before, even if you can't remember. It is the foundation of life. What? Yes, in that pattern, in this pattern here, is every building block of life. What is called the flower of life. That's the flower of life. This is called the seed of life. Then you also have the tree of life. Then you also have the egg of life. You also have the fruit of life. So all these things then were metaphorical for the geometric patterns that create the building blocks of life. And those 5 geometric patterns are called the Platonic solids. No, we're not going to get into this right now. You can though, and now you know about it, and you should. But the bottom line is we're in this chaotic period where everything is in chaos, and it's going to get you out of your mind. Hopefully. That's what it's designed to do. So when we look for justice, what we have is a system in our world of crime and punishment, which is a business, guys. It's a multi-billion-dollar business. Judges, lawyers, attorneys, the prison system, it's a business. But they want people to come in because it costs money. Who pays for it? You. And you're paying for it not just in money. You're paying for it in your happiness, in our society. We're paying for it in every way, shape, or form. When we take punitive action, when we have sanctions, or when we punish, we get punished too. Punishment is different than consequences. Consequences are a result of our own actions. Well, individually and collectively. So the group consciousness right now is living in this world of crime and punishment, and there are consequences. It doesn't work. It creates wars. And that's what's happening in our world. Where we have all these courts of law. Every year they create thousands of new laws because the laws they have are not enough, because you can't create a law for it. And then people end up in prison, and of course then they all get together and go, hey, how can we do this better? Now, there are people that are reformed by prison. I'm not saying that they're not. However, they are the exception rather than rule. And every day, thousands of criminals who have got together and figured out how to do it better pour out onto our streets and into our society. How is it possible that we can ever create a better world with a system like that? So, we must let go of our history. We must create a better future. We've got to accept that there can never be a fair and equitable justice. Only then can we begin the process of peace. And like I said at the beginning, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And Wade Dyer said that a long time ago, right? So we've got to look with new eyes, and I mean that literally. See with our real eyes. See with our real eyes in order to realize the truth. And that means we've got to start to use our heart. I've told you before, the number 1 cause of death in the United States is heart dis-ease. Because what you don't use, you lose. All right? So, the next episode, we're going to get into law and order. Until then, sapere ord, dare to be wise.